Happy Sunday, everybody. It is Jilly Juice LLC, and I wanted to give you a little tiny update from yesterday because I want to give you another perspective around wearing masks and not wearing masks, and then why I want to feel the environment because it's interesting. Myself and my dog, we both feel the environment. My husband might, but if he does, he doesn't really say too much because he doesn't really like, he's not going to talk about stuff that he can deal with. It's when he needs stuff that's sort of like he can't really, or where it's a little bit more aggressive, he'll say stuff. But if it's something that he can deal with, he's not going to say too much. So yeah, so yesterday I was out and about, got her nails done, my dog's nails done, went to Starbucks, and we went to a meeting yesterday at a corporation, and we were there for about a good hour or so. It was a meeting between myself and my husband and somebody else, and and then we went shopping for food over there. So I was out for a good half of the day, and I wore a mask mostly through it. Now it was a mesh mask. I made sure it was a mesh mask because I wanted to. I want to get some kind of viral exposure to let me know how aggressive the environment is. And so last night, like I felt the heat last night when I was lying in bed, just watching Netflix and stuff. I felt the heat rise and fall a little bit. And I'm like, okay, no big deal. I mean, I wasn't coughing. I ate some food. We had filet mignon and macaroni and cheese and broccoli. And so I didn't poop a lot yesterday, so okay. So I still had probably a little bit of residual poop from the day before. No big deal. Sometimes that carries over. And so this morning, oh my God, and I've had this happen one time before, but this morning I had like at 4 o'clock, and I checked my watch right afterwards, I had this major cramp in my leg. And it was such a spasm, I would stretch, I would stretch it just involuntarily. My foot would try to stretch out the calf. It was my left calf. And it was spasming. It was very, very painful. And I couldn't stop the pain. Okay. But it was painful. But I was like, okay, I'm just going to deal with it. Now I had this before on my right leg, where I felt so much pain that I saw stars. I closed my eyes so tight, just trying to deal with it, that I saw stars. And that was probably maybe last year. And that really changed me. That was like, holy crap. That's when, yeah, you're just like, you're seeing pinpoints, like 1,000 points of light, right? Well, I could see why. So I had a milder version of that last night or this morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. And it finally subsided, and I'm just like, oh, relief, because it was like something was gripping my leg and it wouldn't let it go. And it was just like, and I guess that's a post-viral exposure. And so my dog also experienced this whatever virus we picked up. But I'm not coughing this morning. That's the thing. I'm not coughing this morning, but I did pick up something that did cause a little bit of inflammation in my body. Now, I also I ate some probiotics last night, vanilla probiotic. Oh, it was so good. The Activia. And I don't know if it was from that or from just the viral exposure, but definitely a lot of gas last night. So, while you're adjusting to the environment, you want to feel and know what's going on, because what's going on is the vectors are not giving people any indicators that they are exposed to a new viral variant, and to feed the body and to deal with everything that goes on, right? The vectors kind of are like the cures, okay, where you're just like in this cured state, not just completely oblivious to life when you think about it. Not like your usual life, like, you get up and take care of stuff, but life within your body, your microbial life within your body. And so vectors actually work against people, but you can't say that to someone who is trying to stay in the game, who doesn't want to feel the microbial life within them. And so the more that they destroy the microbial life within them, they don't feel life and pain, and then they're also okay with decaying in our society. Aging and degrading, aging and decaying. I mean, it's all kind of the same thing. And so anyways, I wanted to give more of a a scientific name for that muscle cramp that was spasming, and it was like being gripped and possessed by some kind of viral entity, but only in that side of the outside of the on my body, which is the left side, because the right side I had that happen before. The left side, having that virus just do that major muscle spasm was just like, holy crap. And so I guess it's called myositis. And it's very similar to like polio. It's in the same family as a polio because there's a name called what is it? Polymyositis. Okay, and so then there's polio. So that's an extreme form of all this stuff. I mean, what is polio? I've heard of people said they have some form of polio. Poliomyelitis, shortened for polio, is an infectious disease caused by a poliovirus. It moves from the gut to affect the central nervous system. See, everything happens in your gut, and you have to be able to feed this information. So, but what are the symptoms? Polio symptoms. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Progressive muscle joint weakness and pain. So imagine someone picking up a virus that is myositis, and you don't have, what it takes to deal with that. It can turn into so many different things, and I couldn't tell you what, because I don't know what the progression of something like myositis, what it could turn into. But there's a lot of more infectious type of diseases in the same family of muscle weakness. So progressive muscle and joint weakness and pain, fatigue, muscle wasting atrophy, right? And breathing or swallowing problems, sleep-related breathing disorders such as sleep apnea, decreased tolerance of cold temperature. So, yeah, they have a vaccine for polio, but all these different diseases like measles, mumps, like all the different vaccinations for all these different diseases, they're all evolution not supported correctly. And so when people do pride themselves that we have diverted pandemics with the vaccinations, well, if you don't teach people how to support evolution, and the evolution from these viruses are cannibalizing people who are at a deficit, then yeah, you come off as a hero. I mean, I see that whole Hegelian dialectic. Now, I'm not saying that someone caused the problem. Maybe it just is out there because there are people with all these different diverse data in their body, and then they start these pandemics, that like they call it typhoid Mary, right? But you got to teach, you got to teach people how to deal with diversity, how to adapt to diversity, not be resistant. And that's probably what, now I get it. That's why there is racism. That's why there's all these different isms, phobias, regardless of what it is, intolerance, a lot of resistance, activism, politics, religion, and science. Because guess what? When you are resisting the environment, you're resisting diversity. And so, yeah, I could see why you have tinderboxes in neighborhoods where they don't understand each other. South Central LA has a tinderbox of different cultures that clash together. You heard about that? Well, that makes sense. If you're not adapting to the measles, the mumps, rubella, all these different diseases that people have not figured out how to adapt to because they're afraid of pain, and they're not trying to eat all the food in the food supply because of all whatever, they're not using salt, and they're not, they're afraid of sugar and they're afraid of salt. Yeah, you're going to have a pandemic, and you're going to resist the environment. You can't resist what's out there. You resist what's out there, guess what? Become intolerant. And then people become narrow-minded. And then when they see something that is different, or they hear something that is different, they can't deal with that diversity. And so that's why you have diversity issues. That's why we have, the people who are demonizing the LGBTQ, because guess what? They have taken all their vectors that, or they're doing all their turmeric and honey and apple cider vinegar, or they're distracting themselves from, all of their life by the different addictions, And so any kind of diversity out there, I don't care what it is, they can't handle it. They can't, some people are very xenophobic, or they're very geocentric, or they're very, I don't know, egocentric. And so, yes, all of the resistance and the intolerance comes from the fact that people are not adapting to all the viruses in the environment. And so they're taking vaccinations for them. They're taking turmeric and honey and elderberry syrup from them. They're taking out their own organs when they're afflicted by them. They even kick out family members who don't adopt the major line of thought. There are people who are evolutionary in our society that get attacked because we are living in a society that is so intolerant to diversity because they can't even handle the viruses in the environment that are diversity. And so, yeah, when you have 7 billion people who were never taught how to adapt to a world that they live in, regardless of where all this stuff comes from, you're going to have, you're never going to know if UFOs are real, because if they ever came down here, intolerant people who are resistant to viruses, who don't want to deal with viruses, would go and destroy it. If you're destroying yourself at the micro level with vectors, with turmeric, with honey, and taking out organs, you will destroy anything that is new coming out of that sky. That's why we don't have too much diversity as far as people flying around with wings, because they would be destroyed right on contact if they went into the wrong neighborhood. Shoot, we have people that are going into wildlife game reserves and taking animals as trophies, sport hunting. Okay, so right now humanity is really archaic. Nothing wrong with humanity, but we need to evolve. And humans have not evolved because they keep resisting their environment. And this is why introducing diversity to a population that's resistant to viruses or trying to resist viruses, you'll have some diversity leak through. You'll have different parts of the U.S. be more tolerant than others. And then, the ones that are really intolerant, that's where people leave areas and leave families and leave circles of friends who don't understand you, because they feel the intolerance. They feel the lack of acceptance. They feel being made fun of. They feel it. They know it. And so, so that's why you have certain aspects of society more tolerant than the others, because, they're still vectored. They still do know they're resistant to viruses, but they have more of an evolution up here. Okay, but their body isn't really speaking to the same thing in their mind. That's why there's that misalignment with body, mind, and spirit in our society. And then we have people who are just so intolerant because they have so much resistance to adaptation. They're aging and degrading very fast. Haven't probably left their town or been anywhere new or different, never been exposed to too much diversity. And so, they're in that tiny little homogenous hole of their own little community, and a new virus comes in, they'll be decimated. Or somebody new comes into their world, they will have so much intolerance. And that's what you're seeing right now, is we see people that are intolerant to a lot of stuff. Now, the thing with the refugees coming over from Afghanistan, I have no issue with that. I just know that we're in a pandemic and it's going to add more to the soup that we have, but I guess it doesn't even matter at this point. And so, I get everything from the micro level to the macro level and all points in between. And so if you're not adapting to this virus and feeling the effects and feeding it, because me knowing that it exists, I know that it exists because I felt it this morning. My dog felt it. I felt the heat last night. Okay, I'm in a dynamic environment. I'm going to keep feeding myself, not starving myself, not overtaxing myself, not burning the candle at both ends, so that way my community and everything in my lifestyle cannibalizes me. But I am actually making sure that I adapt to this environment, that the environment is not going to cannibalize me in 10 years, 5 years, or whatever years, because I'm so aware of what microbiomes I left. I'm so aware of how dynamic this virus is, even through a mesh mask. Now, if I wore a double mask and actually kept the layers, maybe could have protected me, maybe not. But why would actually, it's interesting, the fact that I wore that mesh mask yesterday, and I didn't cough this morning. I just pooped a lot this morning, but I didn't cough. I just had that pain in my leg. And I'm just like, wow. So I guess my body needed an upgrade, and it was painful. And so these viruses will upgrade you. And that's the whole point, is you have to support the upgrades. You can't resist them. You got to deal with them. And if you don't want to deal with them, then yeah, you'll be in a cured state of decline. And so is what's going on. But I won't be in a cured state of decline. I refuse to cause my body to not feel anything and be in that kind of aging process. Because that aging process is just very chaotic when the system can't do anything more for you. You'll have your scares, you'll go into the hospital. Now it'll be more detrimental to go to the hospital. And you'll get all your procedures done. Maybe it's a 50-50 chance you'll survive when you think about it, especially in this environment. And so even now, go to the hospital to deal with your de-evolution or the body trying to live is going to be a Russian roulette. And so I'd rather not even put myself in that position, and I just deal with all the evolution that comes my way. And I stay away from, all the negative energy that serves to cannibalize me, and I keep feeding the viruses, feeding my body. And yeah. So anyways, that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to drink my drink and work on my book stuff. And you guys just enjoy everything and just stay home, stay safe if you can, because it's very dynamic, especially if you're just starting the J juice. And I tell you, get off the J juice because it will cannibalize you. If you've already done all the waterfalls, and I've showed you pictures, okay? I've showed you pictures of what I looked like in 2018, and I was still eating, but I wasn't eating as much, and there was too much J juice that was not allowing the recoding of the body. Okay, so there is that side of the J juice. It will put you in a cured state, and you won't evolve. And it's obvious because the mummies are probably salted mummified. Okay, and then there's that thing called Ouroboros, where the person cannibalized himself. But that picture of me looking like I was skeletal, holy crap. That's what'll happen if you guys don't get off the J juice. And there's a picture somewhere in my photos, it's probably way deep down, where someone sent me a picture of themselves where they're really skinny. And that was back when I was doing it too. And so they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so skinny. I look great. And she did. But she couldn't get away with that in this environment. Because if this environment will cannibalize someone like that. And like myself a couple of years ago. All right. Skinny is not the in thing anymore. That was back when the environment was very, very chill, so to speak. Now with a dynamic environment, a skinny person will be eaten alive. All right. Bye.